Distinguished colleagues, we also have in the gallery staff and students of Redeemers Private Secondary School, Lugbe in Abuja. They are in the gallery to observe Senate proceedings. I want to wish them happy and fruitful observations of the Senate proceedings of the day. And may God Almighty be with all of you. Happy and fruitful of the seated. No, no. Distinguished Senator Yaya, please approach the chair. Distinguished colleagues, we have a few other announcements. Correspondence from Mr. President. Distinguished Senator Goswill Akpabio, GCON, President of the Senate, National Assembly Complex. Dear Senate President, transmission of Appropriation Amendment Bill, transmission of Appropriation Amendment Bill 2024 and Finance Act Amendment Bill 2024 for consideration. Pursuant to Section 58, Subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, I forward herewith the above named bills for consideration and passage by the Senate. The Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2024 seeks to amend the Principal Act to provide the sum of 3 trillion 200 billion only for renewed hope infrastructure projects and other critical infrastructure projects to be undertaken across the country, and the sum of 3 trillion only to meet further recurrent expenditure requirements necessary for the proper operation of the federal government, expenditure which are to be funded by expected revenues accruing to the federal government of Nigeria. Furthermore, the proposed amendments to the Finance Act 2023 are required to impose a one-time windfall tax on the foreign exchange gains realized by banks in their 2023 financial statements to fund capital infrastructure development, education, and healthcare access, as well as public welfare initiatives, all of which are essential components of the Renewed Hope agenda. While appreciating the Senate's expeditious consideration of these submissions, please accept, distinguished Senate President, distinguished senators, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria. The attachments include the Appropriation Act 2024 Amendment Bill 2024, and the Finance Act Amendment Bill 2024. For expeditious consideration, this is referred to the Committee on appropriation for immediate consideration. Further correspondence. This one is from the All Progressives Congress, APC, the largest political party in Africa. Senator Alero, did you hear what I said? I said this one is from the All Progressives Congress, the largest political party in Africa. So the party that overtook the PDP and diminished the PDP to a miniature ABGA. So this is addressed to His Excellency the Senate President, Dr. Goswill Oboro-Kpabio, President of the Senate, complaint against the unbecoming utterances of Senator Ahmed Ali Ndume. I'm writing on behalf of the National Working Committee of our great party to express our displeasure, our outrage, and our deep disappointment at the unbecoming, unfounded, and baseless criticism of the government and the party, the APC, by your majority whip of the Senate, Senator Ali Muhammadu Ndume. As a member of the ruling party, we expected a much more responsible and decorous behavior from him. But this has not been the case. His uncouth and rabid outbursts against the governments before the international community and before the global community is not only harmful to the government's image alone, but also undermines the party's unity and cohesion. And in addition, undermines the government's efforts to bring in foreign direct investment to Nigeria. As he's a ranking member of our party, his actions are unbecoming of a senior member of the Senate and sets a very poor example for others in future to follow. His latest tirade, I hope I'm right, on air during a program on Rise Television, where he referred to the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President, Commander-in-Chief, as being run by thieves, portrays Ali Ndume as a person who is bent on running the country down and running the party aground through incitement and cheap propaganda. We have the view that Senator Ali Ndume should honorably resign his membership of the APC and join any opposition party of his choice formally instead of hiding behind the veil of grass activism to decimate the hard-earned cohesion and goodwill that our party, the APC, is enjoying within and outside the country. His utterances, which are sheer propaganda, are not based on verifiable facts, are unbecoming of a member of the APC caucus in the Senate of the National Assembly, and it therefore behoves on the APC caucus to bring this to the attention of its members for necessary action to curtail his deliberate mission to undermine the government and the party and the progress of Nigeria, and particularly those appointed by Mr. President to work in his administration. We therefore urge the Senate caucus to take appropriate steps to address this issue and ensure that members of the Senate, particularly those within the All Progressives Congress, hold and maintain decorum in their public utterances. Accordingly, we realize that the position of the whip of the Senate belongs to our party, and we are not opposed to whatever position the members of the APC caucus in the Senate may have, but we are of the opinion that distinguished Senator Mohammed Tahe Monguno should immediately replace distinguished Senator Ali Ndume, who is bent on bringing down the country, as the majority whip of the Senate. Signed by Dr. Abdullahi Omar Ganduje, CON, National Chairman, and Senator Surajuddin Ajibola Bashiru, PhD, BL, Bachelor's at Law, National Secretary. Distinguished colleagues, for the APC caucus, of the Senate, which does not include Senator Wadada, those of you who are in support of the suggestion by the party, can you shout aye? Those against say nay. No, I have to be sure. Those of you who are in support of the decision by the party, can you shout aye? Those against say nay. The ayes have it. I actually heard nay from Wadada on the other side. it does not concern him. Accordingly, Senator Tahe Mohammed Monguno replaces Senator Ali Ndume as the majority whip of the 10th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Can it be brought forward? Can it be brought forward? You don't work on your own. Can the senator? Sorry, Senator Mangunu, just wait there. The sergeant at arms will walk in front of you. Then the APC leaders will now follow you. All the senators of the APC are leaders. Where is the sergeant at arms? Sergeant at arms, you grab his hand, the rest will follow him. I hope that Senator Mangunu knows he should come and bow to the chair with his supporters before he takes his seat. DSP, DSP, don't cover Senator Oshumole. Senator Warada, please approach. Distinguished Senator, Distinguished Senator Mongono, on behalf of the 10th Senate, we say congratulations. Congratulations. With the elevation of distinguished Senator Tahi Mongono to the position of the majority whip of the Senate, his committee on judiciary, human rights, and legal matters will now go to the only senior advocate of Nigeria that we have in the 10th Senate. This means Senator Adegbomiire Adeniyi San, senior advocate of Nigeria, now becomes the Senate chairman on Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights, and Legal Matters. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Tourism becomes distinguished Senator Mohammed Ali Ndume. The chairman of the Senate Committee on the proposed reparation and repatriation becomes distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko. The deputy chairman, Senate Committee on Appropriation, in line with earlier practice, lies with distinguished Senator Ibrahim distinguished Senator Mohammed Taher Mongono, Deputy Chairman, Appropriation, in addition to the Chief Whip of the Senate. The Deputy Chairman of the Senate Committee on Tourism becomes distinguished Senator Anthony Ani. In line with the spirit of togetherness, forgiveness, distinguished Senator Abdul Ningi retains his earlier position of Senate Committee Chairman on Population. The Chairman, Senate Committee on Agri-Institutions becomes distinguished Senator Solomon Lalong. Distinguished Senator Simon Lalong, leader, take note. It's Simon, not Solomon. Solomon is in appropriation. Distinguished Senator Musa Mustafa becomes the chairman of Senate Committee on Livestock Development, a new ministry just created. Any further changes shall be announced in due course. Let's get on with the business of the day. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I rise, Mr. President, to move that the Senate.
Let us conclude on the presentation of bills.
Mr. President, may I most respectfully move first that we go into an executive session before we come back to.
But there's the point of order. Please, let's listen to the point of order.
Okay. President of the Senate, my colleagues, I'm Senator Dike Plang, Senator representing Plateau Central Senatorial District. I have a point of order, order 41 and 51. If the President find it deemed, I would like to read the point of order. Very short. Kayan ka nake sa from. Jiya na sa baka nan.
Yes, dismiss Senator Plang.
Order. Can you read the order? Order 41. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. Order 51. Notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceeding for which notice is required, except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of the senators present. These are my point of orders and solicit if I can be listened to.
Distinguished colleagues, distinguished Senator Plang approached me and brought up the issue of the collapsed building in Jos, with so many lives of future generation lost. And as a very urgent matter of public importance. Is it the view of the Senate that he be allowed to proceed as requested? Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Plang, proceed.
Thank you, my dear President and my colleagues. My motion is on the tragic collapse of St. Academic School building in Jos. And my colleagues, this motion is sponsored by all the senators from Plateau, Senator Mwatkon, Senator Simon Lalong, and Senator Dike Plang. I read, the Senate notes that on Friday, 12 July 2024, it was a story of Holocaust of unquantifiable magnitude in Plateau North Senatorial District, as a two-story building of St. Academy School, Busabuji, in Jos North Local Government Area, one of the local government areas of Plateau North Senatorial District, collapsed, thereby killing not less than 24 students and staff members, while more than 100 victims were rescued from the debris with bodily injuries of various degrees. Senate notes with utmost sadness that it was a depressing sightseeing as healthy and agile children who left home to write their examinations in the said school were unfortunately returned to their parents as dead bodies. Senate notes further that this ugly incident of building collapse had been a recurrent decimal in Nigeria as a result of poor workmanship, substandard building materials, and constructional standards, leading to wanton destruction of precious lives and various properties worth hundreds of millions of naira. Senate notes too that despite such incidences, investigation and researches are always put upon to verify these poor and unprofessional works done had never resulted to any meaningful punitive measures meted on defaulters. Hence, the recurrence of the activities of quack practitioners taking advantage of eager and willing owners to save costs. Accordingly, Senate to resolve to urge the federal government and all relevant government agencies to immediately put necessary structures and apparatus in place to halt construction failures and bring to book all those violating laid down procedures for constructional activities. Two, urge the federal government to investigate the sad incident and bring to book anyone connected with putting up a shabby structures of the St. Academic School, Buzabuji, that collapsed and killed those innocent children in Plateau North Senatorial District. Three, further urge the national emergency agencies and all other agencies of government to mobilize relief and rehabilitation materials to those many families whose victims of this catastrophe to help them cope up with their losses. Four, urge the Federal Ministry of Health and other relevant government agencies to immediately move to Plateau North to give medical aid to the survivors of the said building crash to aid their speedy and quicker recovery and also cushion the devastating effect of the affected families. Senate observe a minute silence in honor of those, our beloved children and staff that lost their life in this ill-fated incident. I thank you, the Senate President, and my dear colleagues for this opportunity.
Distinguished Senator Nengi.
Bauchi Central, Bauchi State. Mr. President, in seconding this very, very tragic and sad motion by Senator Dickett, I would like to say the tragedy in St. School in Buzabuji in Jos Metropolis has become too many. Mr. President, I was in Jos over the weekend, and because of the tragedy, I had the cause to visit the terrible site in Saint School. And the gory picture of the collapsed building and the incessant cries by the families of the bereaved almost brought some of us that were there to tears. Mr. President, you just imagine that you wake up in the morning very happy to send your child to school, and mid-afternoon, they reported that that child is no more. And you probably did not even see him that day. Probably you went to work, and that's the end. And this tragedy happened when the students were writing exams and trying to decipher and trying to get more explanation at that site. We found out, sadly, that there were signal that that building was collapsing. And therefore, in my opinion, the governor was in UK that time, but he had to cancel everything and return shortly after to commensurate with the family. A proper panel has been set up. My prayer, Mr. Senate President, is that this probe panel should not be a typical Nigerian probe panel where probes are made and consequently at the end of the day, nothing actually comes out of the probe. This probe set up by the governor should be thorough and professional, and anybody, no matter how highly placed in that society or community, found to be negligent to the cause of these kids. None of these kids who are told was more than 18, and that is terrible. And therefore, any person found to be negligent in either the master plan, the owner of the school, I think should not be spared. And I think it is important that all of us as parents, all of us as Nigerian citizens should commiserate with the families of the bereaved and pray that that should never ever happen in this country again. I so second.
Yes. Is it in connection with this debate? Okay, proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Senator Mohammed Ogoshono. I represent Nasarawa South. I come under Order 10, a matter of privilege.
Yes.
I have seen the sponsors of this bill and noticed that Simon Davo Matkwan. Yes, sir, Mr. President. Simon Matkwan is no longer a member of this Senate and is one of the sponsors of this bill. If it's an error, it should please be corrected forthwith. Thank you very much.
Yes. Point of order sustained. There is with the apologies, the clerk of the Senate had actually corrected it, and the new name is Dachong Pam Wadcom. So it's Senator Wadcom, not Senator Simon.
Point of order.
Not Senator. Not Senator Wacom. There is also Senator. It's still Senator Wacom, but not Senator Wacom Simon. It's Senator Dashum Pam Wacom. So that has been corrected by the Senate. So your point of order is sustained. This is Senator Adero.
Point of order.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mohammed Ademo Alero. I represent Kebbi Central, Kebbi State. Mr. President, I rise to support this very sad motion sponsored by my very good friend, Senator Lange Dickett. Mr. President, this incident is too many. This has happened in Lagos. This has happened in Onitsha. It happened here in Abuja. Mr. President, it's high time for us to take drastic action so that we can save lives of innocent Nigerians. Mr. President, most of these buildings had engineers that supervise the construction, and the architects that also designed this building. Contractors were also there, and they did the construction. Yet there were defects, and these defects were not, taken seriously. So I'm of the view that any building that collapses, the architects that supervise the construction of that building, the building engineers that supervise building should be brought to book. Probably this is the only way we can stop this from happening. Mr. President, we have to save lives and properties of people. Millions of naira have been lost, and hundreds of lives of people have perished because of negligence, professional negligence of some individuals. Mr. President, we should punish those individuals. So in supporting this motion, I urge my colleagues to also strictly suggest punishment for the engineers, for the architects that supervise the buildings. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Ume.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Victor Ume. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, this motion has brought back to us one more time the rampant professional negligence that we witness in our construction industry. Mr. President, so many buildings have collapsed in the past, and they've been brought to the attention of this Senate. But what we have never seen has been the sanction against people who did not do their duties. I'm a professional person. I'm an estate surveyor and valuer. And I know that we have building codes, we have development control and building regulation authorities everywhere, both in the states and at the federal level. The process of constructing a house starts from the design. The architect will make the design. The structural engineer will prepare and review the structural design, particularly for buildings that will go more than 2-3 floors high up. And before these plans can be approved for the building to be constructed, there must be checks to ensure that the building, when erected, can stand. Before we talk about the integrity tests on the materials that we use for the construction of these buildings, very sadly, these things are never followed again. Yesterday, I saw on television the rubbles of this particular building in Jos that collapsed and killed these children. I wept because even the columns were irregular, showing that there was no supervision at all. Nobody supervised the erection of these buildings. Not talk about checking the concrete test to ensure that the concrete so used and the reinforcements were to specifications and standards. So what we are witnessing here is that people who are employed to render these services, both in the approving authorities and in the construction and the supervision, they have abandoned their duties. And when people are killed, nobody is shown to have been humiliated or punished for professional negligence. So this one now, 20-something children cut down at their prime because somebody refused to do his work. I would want us to pay more attention to dealing with people who do not do their work, because this is the only way you can prevent these things from happening. The professional bodies should actually be put on notice. Council for the Regulation of Engineering, Council for all these built environment professions. They cannot be there, and Nigeria will continue to be embarrassed that a simple building is built it collapses, it kills people, and those people still retain their licenses. We cannot allow that to happen. So this is my contribution on the area of sanction. If we investigate this one, we have to know and seem to have applied the relevant sanctions. The professional bodies should be able to get all those involved sanctioned and their licenses revoked. Because this one is a murder. 20-something children killed by poor construction of a two-story building. In a city like Jos, Jos is not a rural area. So while the construction was going on, people were seeing it, and nothing could be done to check the materials used in building this school. So I join my colleagues in supporting that appropriate investigation will be done. It's happened in Lagos, it's happened in several places, but we don't have any feedback on the sanctions applied to the erring officials. So I sympathize with Dickett Plank and the people of Plateau State, though those people who may have died may have come from different parts of Nigeria, because Jos is a city. I'm sure if you investigate it, you must see people from Anambra State who may have been victims of this collapse. So because we're everywhere in Nigeria, once this thing happens, you must be an Igbo man there dying. So I pay very serious attention to this, and I pray that the souls of these children may rest in peace. But those who are behind this must be thoroughly punished, like Senator Ledo said. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Deputy Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to, in the first instance, extend my condolences and commiserate with those that lost their loved ones in these tragic incidents that occurred in respect of the collapse of the Saints Academy School building in Jos. Mr. President, this incident is one too many. It's occurring every day in all parts of this country. Yes, one may argue that it's not within our purview to debate this matter on the floor of the Senate, but it has become very pertinent, very necessary that we should lend our voices so as to bring to an end, total end, to these kind of situations where people die every day in this country. It's within the purview of the subnationals to tighten their oversight operations, to make sure that all that is necessary, the planning departments, all the agencies involved in ensuring that there is sound regulation with respect to the construction of buildings, they should do their work. Yes, FCT is dealing with this matter because it's the area that we have oversight on. We are the assembly of the FCT. I can see that FCT is now taking actions, necessary actions to deal with this matter. It's therefore necessary that we extend our zeal to make sure that all is done to stop this kind of situations happening in this country by urging our subnationals to do something about it. Before now, we used to see how serious the regulatory bodies in the states were doing to make sure that everyone that embarks on building any property is properly oversighted, from the stage of putting together the plan. We could see then that the agency responsible will always make sure that the plans were properly done, and they visit these sites on daily basis to make sure that the right thing was done. But now, I think the oversight operations are no longer the way they used to be. So we call on the governments, of the states to tighten, the regulations involved in, building construction, so that we will not be seeing all these things happening. It is sad that we're having these situations, everywhere in this country. But please, let's work together. Subnationals should stand up. We know they are doing very well, but let them do more to make sure that we bring to an end this kind of tragic incidences. Thank you, Mr. President.
The senior Senator Oshimole.
Mr. President, sir, I stand to appreciate my brother and colleague for raising this motion. There is no question, as Senator Abga, Senator Ume said, it hurts extremely badly that children are wasted away because of the negligence of adults. But, sir, like previous speakers have acknowledged, incidents of collapse of buildings and life being wasted avoidably is very rampant across the country. I think, with profound respect, Mr. President, that rather than lament the consequences of official negligence, we should go to the root of the matter and tackle it at source. When I had the privilege of being a governor in Edo State, now I want to speak from my experience, I found that in the Ministry of Works, they do have engineers, civil engineers, structural engineers, architects, quantity surveyors, etc., etc. As a poor governor, you sit down there and you deal with the documents with regards to pricing, etc., etc. And in good faith, you set up a board to invite tenders and all manners of people tender. The results, sir, as I have seen in Nigeria, this is arguably one of the few countries where everybody is a civil engineer, everybody is a civil engineering contractor. Even we Senator Chiburua can put out Adams & Co. Civil Engineering Limited and bid for a sophisticated civil engineering contract. I think, sir, looking at the laws, it is under federal laws that the Nigeria Institute of Architects is registered. It is under federal laws that Nigeria's Institute of Civil Engineers or of Engineers is registered. I think my brother was honored recently by one of those associations. It is under federal laws that Nigeria Institute of Quality Surveyors is registered. And even the rate they are paid are prescribed by federal laws. Therefore, I believe we have jurisdiction to go to the source, not just to lament the consequences, but to go to the source. That we amend the relevant sections of the Act establishing these institutions. Quantity surveying to deal with issue of inflation of prices, structural engineering to deal with the issue of competence among its rank, and if things like this happen, we identify who were the supervisors and deal with it. I think we are dealing with issues of corruption, if we are to call a spade a spade.
One more.
Now, whereas these institutions exist, I'm going to round up now, they hardly do the job. Even here in Abuja, you see buildings and you wonder if they were done by competent structural engineers. Structures is extremely important. And I think we amend those laws in a way that everybody cannot wake up and set up a civil engineering company and begin to bid for contracts that is neither equipped to deal with, neither by reasons of competence or appropriate skilled engineering, structural engineering staff to deal with the issue of stability of the structure. So whereas I share everything that has been said, which in this case is within the competence of subnationals, but what we can do as a national parliament that regulate the various institutions is to see what we can do to tinker with the law such that if you design a building and you are obliged to supervise the construction, should the building collapse within a certain number of years, you are liable not only to withdraw your license, you are liable to prosecution. Again, my sympathy to the people and the government of Plateau State
Thank you.
for the avoidable death of these our children.
Finally, distinguished Senator Sam.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Dr. Titus Zam. I represent Benue Northwest Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to join my voice in sympathy with my colleague and brother, Senator Plank, over the sad loss of these young children who had the misfortune of being killed under the collapsed building. I have listened to the emotions poured out by my colleagues in respect of this tragedy. But one important aspect of the situation that has not been addressed is the cost of building materials, which may have given rise to the spate of collapsed buildings in this country. For long as the cost of building materials remain high, people will cut corners. How much does a bag of cement cost now? Almost 10,000 naira, which speaks to the state of our economy. So as a parliament, I will suggest that something serious should be done towards the direction of mitigating the rising cost of building materials at this moment, so that we can control incidences of building collapse in this country. I once again sympathize with the people of Plateau State over this sad loss of their children under these avoidable circumstances. Thank you, Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleagues. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, the very tragic incidents in loss in Jos is a loss to the whole nation. And the nation woke up to realize the loss of so many souls who were indeed future leaders and those that would have inherited all the efforts of our present generation. There is no doubt that everybody is in sympathy and nobody is opposed to this motion. So I want to thank distinguished Senator Plank for bringing this to the fore. On behalf of the Senate, I had already condoled with His Excellency, the Governor of Plateau State, Governor Caleb, and also the Bomb Jos, and many of the traditional fathers who were in the chambers to partake in the public hearing on the livestock bill. So we'll go straight to the prayers. Urge the federal government and relevant government agencies to immediately put necessary structures and apparatus in place to halt construction failures and bring to book all those violating laid down procedures for in respect of construction activities. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, urge the federal government to investigate this sad incident and bring to book anyone connected with putting up the shabby structures of the St. Academy's school Buza Buji that collapsed and killed those innocent children in the Plateau North Senatorial District. I think there should be a slight amendment. Anybody? Anybody?
Mr. Senate President, I
Yes.
think it should be urged the Plateau State government, not federal government.
Thank you. Any seconder? Any seconder? Yes, my brother, Senator Haruna.
Mr. President, I do second that that press should be changed to read Plateau State Government. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished senators, the second prayer has been amended to read, urge the Plateau State government instead of federal government. Urge the Plateau State government to investigate the sad incident and bring to book anyone connected with putting up the shabby structures of the St. Academy School, Busa Ibuji, that collapsed and killed so many innocent children in the Plateau North Senatorial District and wounded others. Those in support of this amendment as proposed and seconded say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3. Further urge the National Emergency Agency, NEMA, to quickly mobilize relief and rehabilitation materials to those families who are victims of this catastrophe, to help them cope with their losses. Those in support of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4. Urge the Federal Ministry of Health and other relevant agencies to immediately move to Plateau North Senatorial District to give medical aid and attention to the survivors of the said building crash. And this will cushion the devastating effect on the families. Those in support of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 5. Observe a minute silence in honor of those who lost their lives in this ill-fated just incident. Those in support of this prayer 8 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, additional prayer. Yes, distinguished Senator Ashiru.
Your Excellency, I want to emphasize that at the root of all this problem of building construction is lack of adequate supervision and professionalism on the part of building control agencies at local level, local government and state level. So I will want to say that we should urge the building control agencies, both at local and state, to be more professional, to shun corruption, and to do their work. That's all more.
Any seconder? Yes, distinguished Senator Yaya.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the additional prayer raised by my leader, the deputy leader of the Senate, to the effect that the building control agencies at the local and state level should be seen to be doing their work professionally. I also agree with him that a lot of the building collapses that we have been witnessing all over the country are due to the lackadaisical attitude of the agencies that are charged with ensuring the safety of and the structural integrity of buildings. I so second, Mr. President.
Following the motion, additional prayer has been moved and seconded. Those in support of this additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, distinguished Senator Dixon.
Mr. President and my dear colleagues, Henry Serake Dixon. Mr. President, the additional prayer I am proposing for our consideration, realizing the fact that this incident keeps reoccurring. Churches are collapsing, schools are collapsing, hospitals are collapsing, and all over the country. And speaking to the issue of how we harmonize the laws and do a study of the various responsibilities that people have under the various laws, whether it is national or subnational laws. And that was the main issue that distinguished Senator Shomole spoke to. To address that, I'm proposing that we direct the relevant committees of the Senate, i.e., the Housing and the Committee on Works, to interface with the various professional bodies and examine the legal framework under which they operate, and also interact with the subnational entities so that we can determine the adequacy or otherwise and know what to do. I so propose.
Distinguished Senator Asukwa.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion or the prayer as ably stated by Senator Dixon. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, additional prayer by distinguished Senator Dixon, seconded by distinguished Senator Asukwa. Those in support of this additional prayer say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, the distinguished Senator Nwoko.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Ned Nwoko. I represent the good people of Delta North, Delta State. I do propose an additional prayer. Mr. President, in most instances, when buildings collapse like this, there's no compensation. There are no recourse to any kind of support from anybody other than the victims relying on self-help. So I do suggest that there should be a proposal for compulsory insurance cover of buildings during construction and afterwards, so that there should be some kind of support. It comes in two ways. One is that before any insurance company will agree to insure a building, they must also ensure that that building is properly constructed. And then secondly, for the victims to have some support should any building collapse. I think that should be a prayer, yes. So, well, the additional prayer is that all buildings during and after construction should have compulsory insurance policies.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Garba.
Thank you very much, the Senate President, my distinguished colleagues. My name is Garba Musa Maidoki, Senator representing Kebbi South Senatorial District. Your Excellency, I rise to support the motion ably moved by Senator Ned Nwoko. This insurance policy has two effects, just like he said. If it were insured, the insurance company will make sure all the right documentations and all approval are adhered to strictly before they even give insurance to the building. And secondly, you are sure that in the case of eventualities like the one in Plateau, that the victims will have some succor. If this is done, and the insurance premium might not be too much from what I understand the insurance company, is a small premium paid regularly. If it goes this way, the enforcement of the building codes will be further enhanced by this provision. I so second. Thank you very much.
Distinguished colleagues, distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko has proposed an additional prayer that all public schools and all public buildings, and particularly public schools, should be insured by relevant insurance agencies. All public buildings, particularly schools.
Mr. President, all buildings, regardless of whether
Okay,
they are
all
private
buildings.
or public.
Because why I'm saying that is that if somebody has a private house and he wants to misconstruct it,
no,
it's doing so
no,
at his own peril.
No, Mr. President, any such building should be insured as well, because every building will expect visitors.
But
and,
if you want,
anything can happen.
If you want all buildings in Nigeria to be insured, you'll be surprised that a lot of people may not have money to build the houses. Talk less of having money to pay for insurance premium. But I would have said that compulsorily, mandatorily, that all public buildings things that have to do with public, such as bars, institutions, schools particularly, and public infrastructure such as these entertainment centers, recreation centers, anything, any building that has to do with the public should be insured compulsorily in order to take care of the welfare of people. But if you are saying all buildings in Nigeria, I'll put the question. Those in support of the proposal that all buildings in Nigeria should be insured, as proposed by Senator Ned Nwoko, say aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it. Yes, additional prayer. Yes, Natasha.
I thought.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Natasha Akpotiuduaha, representing the hardworking people of Kogi Central. Mr. President, a number of these buildings that serve as schools are not purpose-built.
We want additional prayer, not
It is
not
an additional
speech.
prayer, sir. We have seen children fall
Additional
from...
prayer.
Yes. The additional prayer is that we should urge the Federal Ministry of Education to embark upon regular inspections of all learning institutions, especially primary and secondary public schools, to ensure that their structures are built for due operations. The reason why I'm saying this, sir, is because we have seen incidents where children drown in schools, where their pools are open. We have also had incidents where toddlers fall from 3- or 4-story buildings because their balusters are too wide. So it is also the duty of the Federal Ministry of Education.
So your additional prayer is that we should urge the Federal Ministry
of Education to embark upon regular inspections.
It is first, it is a state government affair. The federal government does not own a single primary school.
The State Ministry of Education, sir.
So, but because of the universities, you may wish to add that urge the state and federal government to undertake regular inspection of the structures of federal and state institutions.
Yes, sir.
By relevant agencies in the build industry.
Very well, sir.
Any seconder? Yes, the same Senator Amos Johanna.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the additional prayer that the state ministries of education should embark on regular inspection of all schools and ensure that their structures are of standards. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, distinguished Senator Natasha Oduan and distinguished Senator Amos Johanna have proposed and seconded additional prayer that we should urge states and federal governments, particularly the ministries of education, with relevant agencies of the state and federal governments to undertake periodic checks on institutional facilities to ensure that they meet with the highest standard to avoid further loss of lives through the collapse of these structures. Those in support of this additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, distinguished Senator Asukwa.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Asukwa Ekpeyon, Cross River South. I would like an additional prayer. In that prayer, we urge for the compulsory requirement for insurance coverage on public buildings and commercial spaces. That is the prayer.
This is distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do stand to second the motion of the prayer ably moved by Senator Ebayam. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved by Senator Asuku and seconded by Senator Ned Nwoko that we should urge all state and federal governments to ensure total coverage, total insurance coverage of all public, commercial, and school and institutions generally, or buildings, insurance cover, to ensure insurance cover of public and school buildings and institutional buildings to avoid this kind of disaster on members of the public and students alike. Those in support of the additional prayer, I'll move and second. They say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So let me thank the Distinguished Senator Plank for bringing this to the fore, and thank all my colleagues who have contributed to this, and thank you also for the additional prayers, and then further condole with the government and good people of Plateau State and all Nigerians, because like Senator Omen said, the death of these children, if taken one by one, the identities of the children would definitely include an Igbo man, because it's very sure that the Igbos have spare parts industries in Plateau State, and the children their children want to go to school. So I want us to condole with all Nigerians, sympathize with the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and all Nigerians over the tragic incidents in Jos, not limited to Plateau State alone, but to the whole nation, and pray that God will accept the souls of these children and then condole the families. And at the same time, we must also, as the Senate, take measures to ensure that we enforce these resolutions to avoid further loss of lives through building collapse in Nigeria. This is one incident too many. May we now rise for 1 minute silence in honor of these children who were killed through this building collapse in Jos. May the souls of our dear children who were brutally killed in the building collapse at St. Academy School, Bosabuji, in Jos North local government area of Plateau State, rest in perfect peace. Yes.
Point of order.
Yes, Senator Mustafa. Senator Mustafa.
Mr. President, my respected colleagues, I'm coming under Order 41 and 51. Yeah. Mr. President, Order 51 requires that the matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. And Order 51, notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceeding for which notice is required except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of the senators present. Mr. President, I've discussed this matter with you.
So because of distinguished colleague, because of the fact that we have already taken one order 41 today, can we refer your own to the next day?
Mr. President, this thing has been lingering.
Sorry, your motion is already on the order paper.
But
so you don't need to come under order 41 or 51. It's going to be taken today.
Okay.
So thank you. Yeah, point of order, Cyril.
Mr. President.
So, sorry, Senator Mustafa, you understand? On the order paper, your motion is listed. So you don't need to come under any order. It's going to be taken today, so you don't need to come under any order. Yes, Senator.
Yes, sir.
Cyril.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Cyril Fashui. I represent the honest and decent people of Ekiti North. I'm an Ekiti man. I'm coming under Order 9 and Order 10.
Yes, please read under Order 9 and Order 10. Read.
Yeah. 9A. Privileges are the rights enjoyed by the Senate collectively and by the members of the Senate individually, conferred by the legislative houses. Powers and Privileges Act, Cap 208, Laws of the Federation, 1990, and other statutes, or by practice, precedent, usage, and custom. 9B, whenever a matter of privilege arises, it shall be taken up immediately. Order 10, any senator may rise at any time to speak upon the matter of privilege suddenly arising, and he shall be prepared to move without a notice a motion declaring that a contempt or breach of privilege has been committed, or referring the matter to the Committee on Ethics and Privileges. But if the matter is raised in committee of the whole Senate, the chairman shall leave the chair.
Yes, proceed.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I stand there as a very sad man this afternoon and agreed with the event that happened over the weekend on the allegation, a blanket allegation raised by Senator Ali Ndume, that every one of us were thieves. That's a very blanket statement. Just this morning, sir. Just this morning.
He did not say you are a thief.
That
he said all of you in government,
all of us,
are kleptocrats.
Yes.
And a thief is different.
Okay.
Somebody who is suffering from kleptomania.
Okay.
Is somebody who steals who steals with compulsion, right? And then most of the time you steal what you don't need. That means you can go to somebody's house and you remove the key in the door of the person's house. You don't need the key, but because it is your business to steal, you must steal. So you take the key, put it in your pocket, and leave the house. Or you see a young child playing football, and you steal the football and leave the child crying, whether you are going to use it or not. So that's what he was saying. He was saying that you are surrounded. All of you are kleptocrats. He didn't say you are thieves. I think it's stronger than being a thief.
Yeah.
A thief is somebody who steals what he needs. A kleptocrat is someone who steals everything, whether he needs those things or not. So that is what you are, by
Okay.
virtue of that description.
Yes, Mr. President.
And you are saying you are not.
Yes, I am saying I am not. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, after this statement by Senator Ali Ndume, I have received several calls far and near, especially from my children, that told me that they needed an explanation on why a senator, especially a ranking senator of the Federal Republic, will call all of us kleptomaniacs. Just this morning, the President of Nigeria brought a supplementary appropriation bill to the Senate. It means there is nothing that can insulate us from the affairs of this government if we are the ones that are passing supplementary budgets and even the Appropriation Act. That means that I need a lot of explanation to my children and to my loved ones. When I say loved one, I'm not talking of wives. I have only one wife. But my loved ones are scattered all over the world, who wants an explanation on the inference of what Senator Ali Ndume said about all of us in the government. Mr. Senate President, I ran an election against a very formidable PDP member. And just over the weekend, there were publications that all of us APC in Ekiti State, if a member of the Senate who is an APC member calls us kleptomaniacs, it means the senator representing Ekiti North, that is myself, is also one of them because he's a member of APC. This is not good for our image. It is not good for me. And I think that statement is a breach of my privilege as a senator. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, like I said earlier, Senator Ndume's statement is a blanket statement, and I will want to implore this Senate, in a matter of days for him to come categorical with evidence of the people he referred to as kleptomaniacs. That is one prayer. My second prayer is that with that statement that has put me under public ridicule in my constituency, I would like this matter of privilege to be referred to the Committee on Ethics and Privileges. I so submit, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues.
Distinguished brother, distinguished Senator Cyril Fasu. Well, my personal opinion will be that the party has taken the appropriate action. But since you are speaking from a point of privilege, that your privilege has been breached, and your only request is that you should face the Committee on Code of Conduct, Ethics, and Public Petition to possibly list the names of the kleptomaniacs in the government, which you believe you are not among. Distinguished colleagues, is it the view of the Senate that the action of the APC has taken care of these vituperations Those in support of what I've said, say aye. Those against, say nay. Okay. Distinguished colleagues, is it the view of the Senate that this matter be further referred to the Committee on Ethics and Privileges to allow? Okay. Distinguished colleagues, Senator Fasui is of the opinion that the kleptocrats or kleptomaniacs surrounding this present administration be named by Senator Alindume, the SY whip of the Senate. Those in support of that proposal say aye, and those who believe that the party APC has taken appropriate sanctions and therefore it should not be referred to any further committee, say aye. And those again say nay. The ayes have it. Your point of order is sustained. However, the Senate is of the view that the matter be allowed to rest as the party has taken a decision on it. Those in support of what I've said, say aye. Those against, say nay. So the matter is rested. Yes, Senate Leader.
There's a difference between privilege and party. The party also felt that that was why they took action.
Who?
Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I rise to move that the Senate goes into an executive session to enable us discuss some matters of urgent public importance. I so move, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion that the Senate goes into a closed session to discuss matters of importance. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate will go into closed session to discuss matters of urgent national importance. Those in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we go into closed session.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of an executive bill standing in my name on the 2024 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 538. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, 2024 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 538. Mr. President, first reading. Distinguished
2024 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2024 SB 538. First reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, Distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of an executive bill standing in my name on the Finance Act Amendment Bill 2024 SB 539. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Finance Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 539, first reading.
Finance Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 539, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Manu Haruna on the Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 520. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 520, first reading.
Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 520, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Dan Kwambo Ibrahim Hassan on the Federal Colleges of Education Act Amendment Bill 2024 SB 526. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Colleges of Education Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 526, first reading.
Federal Colleges of Education Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 526, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Khalid Ibrahim Mustafa on the Shehu Idris Federal University of Health Sciences and Technology, McAfee Establishment Bill 2024, SB 529. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Shehu Idris Federal University of Health Sciences and Technology, McAfee Establishment Bill 2024, SB 529, first reading.
Shehu Idris Federal University of Health Sciences and Technology, McAfee Establishment Bill 2024, SB 529, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the sixth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Ekong Samson on the Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2024 SB 530. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 530, first reading.
Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 530, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate. Leader, you move for the we are on the first and second order of the day, which is the second reading of the Supplementary Act and Finance Act. You now move for the motion to suspend the rule.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, I rise. Well, the first and second orders of the day are the second reading of the 2024 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2024 SB 538, as well as the Finance Act Amendment Bill 2024 SB 539. Mr. President, I am moving that the Senate do suspend its Rule 78 sub 1 in order to read the bill a second time. And if that is taken, Mr. President, I will be in a position to do the lead debate. But my motion first is that we suspend our Order 78 sub 1 to enable us to take the second reading.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the Senate do suspend Rules 78 sub 1 to enable us take the second reading for these two important bills. I so second.
Well, distinguished colleagues, you are aware because you've been told in the executive section that taking on this bill is very, very important for us because we have the minimum wage law and whatever to be passed. So we need to do this in an expeditious manner so that all will be dealt with in terms of minimum wage and so on and so forth. So those in favor of this motion, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader, you may continue.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I present the lead debate on the 2024 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill, as well as the Finance Act 2023 Amendment Bill 2024, Senate Bills 538 and 539, respectively. My highly esteemed colleagues, kindly do permit me to lead the debate on these very important bills, being the 2024 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2024 and the Finance Act 2023 Amendment Bill 2024. The bills were read for the first time in this chamber today, Wednesday, 17th July 2024. The 2024 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 6 to amend the Appropriation Act 2024 to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 3,200 billion naira only for capital expenditure and the sum of 3 trillion naira only for recurrent expenditure for the year ending on the 31st day of December 2024, while the Finance Act 2023 Amendment Bill 6 to amend the Finance Act 2023 to impose and charge windfall tax on banks and to provide for the administration of the tax generally in the country. Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, you will recall that the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, through a communication to the President of the Senate, forwarded both bills to the Senate today, being Wednesday, 17th day of July 2024. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the 2024 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill is needed to fund the Renewed Hope infrastructure projects and other critical infrastructure projects to be undertaken across the country, and to also meet recurrent expenditure requirements necessary for proper operations of the federal government expenditure, which is to be funded by expected revenue accruing to the federal government. Furthermore, the proposed amendments to the Finance Act 2023 are required to impose a one-time windfall tax on foreign gains realized by banks in their 2023 financial statements to fund capital infrastructure development, education, and healthcare access, as well as public welfare initiatives to give sound and solid footing to the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief. Finally, I believe that all the proposals in this bill are laudable and will enhance the critical needs of the citizens of our dear country. I thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, for your esteemed attention.
Now, before I yield the ground to Senator Alero and Dixon, and let me allow the chairman of the Committee on Appropriations to make his contribution. Probably okay. Senator Alero, you have the floor. Then Senator Dixon will do that.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I am Muhammad Adamalero, representing the good people of Kebbi Central, Kebbi State. I rise to second the motion, very heavily moved by the leader of the Senate. Mr. President, it is necessary for us to support this bill because of the following reasons. First and foremost, the minimum wage, which we are waiting for, is coming very soon. The bill is coming to the National Assembly very soon. And as a prerequisite for passing it, we need to get funding. And the only way we can get funding is by passing this amendment. So it is important for us to pass this amendment so that there will be money that will be enough to pay the minimum wage. Because the 2024 appropriation, there is nothing for the minimum wage. And as you rightly know, distinguished colleagues, if we don't provide money for minimum wage between now and end of this month, there will be public outcry, but the workers will definitely go on strike. And for us to contain it, it will be hard. In fact, we have waited for too long. I commend them for their patience. And I also commend Mr. President by sending this very important amendment to the National Assembly for passage. Secondly, Mr. President, there are legacy projects that are not adequately funded in the budget. And this legacy project, as you rightly know, are critical. Number one, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road, and we also have the proposed Badagry-Sokoto Road. There are also other important road projects in the country that are forwarded in this bill, in this amendment. And if we don't pass this amendment, it will be difficult to fund this critical project. I therefore support the passage of this amendment, and I urge all my colleagues to do the same. Lastly, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the source of funding is also important. We are not just amending the act without looking at how the money is coming from. If you have a budget, you also have to look at the sources of funding. It is clearly stated in this lead debate by the leader of the Senate that there will be tax imposed on foreign gains realized by banks in their 2023 financial statements. I'm happy that the money is not coming from ordinary people. It's coming from banks. And we all know that banks are making huge profits. In fact, that's why everybody is now willing to set up a bank because of huge amount of money they are getting. A bank will declare close about 500 billion naira. There is no business you can do in this country where you can get this kind of money. 500 billion naira. And this money is not, being taxed properly. So I support this amendment to the Finance Act because this money is going to be used to fund not only infrastructure and even social services like education, healthcare, and other related services that are critical and necessary. So I therefore support or second the motion heavily moved by the leader, and I urge all my colleagues to do the same. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Adler. For purpose of guidance, since this is an amendment, the revenue profile of 2024 budget that was passed stands. So this is an additional revenue to what we already had as our revenue projections. It's an additional revenue. So I don't think it has anything to, it stands because it's an amendment. The revenue profile we had before stands, but this is an additional revenue that will come to the coffers of government. And kudos to the executive for, bringing about additional revenue, source of additional revenue to the government. Senator Dixon, but we now allocate 2 minutes so that we can quickly, do with it so that we move forward. Senator Dixon, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and my dear colleagues. Henry Siraki Dixon, Bayelsa West. First of all, I would like to say that I don't agree that the two bills be lumped together in the way and manner we are doing today. These are two critical legislations. One, a money bill, which has to be thoroughly examined. The other one is a taxation bill. There is no such tax known to the laws of this country as we speak. We are just being invited now to pass this law, and by so doing, if we do so, and there is concurrence, and there is assent, then it becomes law. And I don't think that these two should be considered together in the way and manner we have done. So if I have my way, Mr. President, I will say that we should step down the second bill, which is about taxation of banks, profits of banks. We cannot grow our economy, we cannot run our government by continually taxing our people, whether they are corporate citizens of Nigeria or whether they are individuals. And let it not be said that this Senate, without the benefit of a public hearing, without the benefit of economic experts, financial experts, advising us about the propriety of this legislation, and most importantly also, the timing of this legislation. I just thought that I should make that caution so that we don't end up like the National Assembly did a few months ago, when the National Assembly hurriedly passed a legislation that sought to tax, telcos, to fund cyber terror activities and so on. And even though the bill was signed and approved, it was promptly withdrawn because of the outcry. I think that we should be very cautious when we are imposing taxation on citizens of our country, because we are managing a depressed economy. Even these banks now, as we speak, are all running around to meet up the recapitalization policy that has been prescribed by this government. So I think that we should step down that legislation so that we can have a benefit of expert opinion and guidance on it. And it should not be used as a basis, therefore, for even funding our supplementary appropriation bill that we are here to consider. Having said, I've just spoken on the second one.
It's not supplementary, it is just an amendment of the existing budget.
Yes, but it's the same thing. Whether it's supplementary amendment, is one and the same thing. Okay, so it's an amendment. Now, on the amendment, Mr. President, we have had some conversations during the executive session, and there is consensus. And I don't think anyone here is opposed to the passage and consideration of the supplementary appropriation bill. But I just wanted to make some clarifications. One, I hope, even though we have not seen the details, even though our rule says we should see the detail, it has not been circulated, but we know that we have been assured that we are going to get copies. But I just want to observe that maybe at the committee level, those projects that were omitted inadvertently, we have been told, in the main appropriation bill will be included, one. And then this is a money bill, Mr. President, so we need to all raise our inputs. I hope that just as we are making plans to make provisions for the minimum wage, which is appropriate, and we need to support that, we should also consider that provisions be made for a critical infrastructure that has been dug in our budgets year in, year out, the East-West Road, that has been under consideration for 20 years. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Musa Medoki. Then we move to this side. We have Senators Sadi Musa, then Senator Abiru, and then Senator Adams Oshomole, and then we get done with the debate. So you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, the Senate President and distinguished colleagues. My name is Garba Musa Maidoki, Senator representing Kebbi South Senatorial District. My distinguished colleague, I want to add my voice in support of this bill ably presented by the Senate leader. Senator Aleru has captured all our thoughts and the benefit for which this budget, this amendment will bring to this country. We are in times of crisis and we need measures like this so that we can respond to the aspirations of all Nigerians. And distinguished Senate President, I need to tell Nigerians the tag that this Senate is a rubber stamp, that is not true. The Senate and the President have common objective, how to move Nigeria forward. If supporting to move Nigeria forward so that there will be better infrastructure and better standard of living is what tags the Senate as a rubber stamp, then I have no apology of being called a rubber stamp. Secondly, the Senate President, I need only this opportunity to cry to all of you and the colleagues. The Senate President, my daughter's wedding is coming in September. I will not be able to take any senators to Zulu because we've been completely cut out of this country. I cried in this house, and the Senate President promised me that something will be done in 2024. I've written letter of reminder to the Senate President and the Senate Committee on Appropriation Chairman and the President of this country. My prayers today, the Senate distinguished colleague, is that this road, at least one road out of the 4 roads that lead to Zuru, be included in this amendment bill. Thank you very much, the Senate President.
Senator Simon, sir, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mohammed Sani Musa, Niger East Senatorial District. My distinguished colleagues, I think this amendment is coming at the right time. And I just want to make a short comment to what the most distinguished Senator Seriki have said regarding the finance bill. Money bills are very important bills. Now, whenever we are deliberating on them, we need to be a bit careful so that it will be seen that what we are doing is in tandem with the realities of our economy. The fact is that if you look at the end of the year reports of most of the commercial banks in this country, you will agree with me that despite the difficulties Nigerians are facing, you will see how these commercial banks report their end of the year profits and loss accounts. And most of them, you will see that the profit they have made tripled. How is it possible that they are, making this? That's why the high rate of interest rates. How are these commercial banks making this money? So, for me, if it is a one-off thing that the federal government have looked at in terms based on the ratio of profitability that these banks have made, that they should be taxed in order to contribute to the infrastructural development of this country, I think it is a welcome measures that Mr. President have really looked at, and we should give all the necessary support to do that. I believe taking certain percentage out of that profit, and this profit they made it within a short period because of the pronouncements that this government have made, especially on the issue of bridging the differences we have in foreign exchange. The country is still trying to come back to terms in terms of our economic difficulties that Nigerians are facing, but you will see that it gave advantage to some people, and that advantage shouldn't be just limited to some people. The reason for removal of subsidy, the reason for bridging the gap in foreign exchange is for the good of this country. As such, I'm in full support that we should look at the books of the banks in terms of their profitability in the area of foreign exchange and do the necessary adjustments so that the country can also benefit. This is my candid opinion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Even though you are the chairman of Committee on Finance, the bill will eventually be on your table. And now call on can you off your mic? Off your mic. Okay. Wait a minute.
Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues. I rise pursuant to Order 8 of 3 to move that the Senate extend sitting period beyond 3 p.m. to enable us take on more of the proceedings on the order paper for today. I so move, Mr. President.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues.
Okay.
The items on the order paper. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. I now call Senator Mikhail Abiru Ibaba Adini, Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, to give his own opinion on this bill.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Adetokunbo Abiru, and I represent Lagos East. I also would like to join my colleagues in lending my voice to this all-important bill. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I think that, number one, on the issue of the 2024 Appropriation Act, I think that I fully support this proposal because, as we all know today, part of what we need to continuously do in the environment and particularly in the economy is to continue to find a way to improve all of our infrastructure. And I think the focus of this particular amendment is in that area. And of course, with infrastructure, you create more jobs. We also reduce logistics cost, which is also part of the major cost. If you look at the composition of the inflation index, part of what accounts for the rising inflation too is in the area of logistic cost in terms of movement of goods and services. And I think that projects that are focused, that are properly identified here, will continuously help us reduce some of the pressure that we see in this in the sectors, the various sectors of the economy. Now, speaking to the other proposal, which is the Finance Act amendment, and specifically relating to windfall tax, I also support it wholeheartedly because I think that this is we should also salute the executive for being ingenious in taking advantage of this opportunity. The windfall that we are looking at here, the reality is that the banks themselves will have done a proper dimensioning of both their foreign assets and liabilities. And that is how come they will arrive at some profit, which they will have taken into their accounts for the year ended 2023. And just like one of my colleagues mentioned, these are profits that will have arisen from the policy decisions of this current administration, particularly around the liberalization of the foreign exchange market. So taking a one-off charge of it, I think is smart enough so that they don't just continue to report it as their own creation, because it's a creation of the opportunities in the environment. So, and importantly as well, it is also a way to continue to be very creative in looking for revenue areas for the country, such that our reliance or the incidence of borrowings are also reduced. And also in funding all of these capital expenditure that we are talking about, or the amendment that we are putting forward, also we are creating avenues for funding. So on my part, I fully support the proposals as presented. Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues.
Thank you, Senator Abiru, for responding to the request by Senator Dixon that experts' opinion should be sought. And thank God he was former MD of a bank and an expert in banking, so he has offered that request by you. So thank you for the insight. Thank you. Senator Adas Oshomole, former NLC president, probably give his opinion on the labor aspect of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am not just a former labor leader, I am a Nigerian. I like to start by...
And former governor of Edo State.
Former governor of Edo State. No condition is permanent. I was also president of NLC, sir. But the real point I want to make is to join our Senate leader in commending Mr. President for acting in a manner that we remind Nigerians that whatever discomfort they have suffered as a result of some of the bold decisions he has taken, whether in the area of withdrawal of subsidy and the obvious anticipated hardship, and of course the foreign exchange rate, which is rather an intricate policy, because on the one hand, we have seen the naira depreciating. On the other hand, the good side of it is that there are no more Nigerians who become billionaires because they are relations of the central bank, because that rent has been removed. It takes courage of a president to say, I will not benefit the way some people in the previous system had benefited. What we are now dealing with is, how do the ordinary Nigeria benefit from these bold policies? By devoting substantial part of the amendment bill to deal with infrastructure. And incidentally, a lot of these infrastructures are the ones that not only create jobs, they create good paying jobs and sustainable jobs for our engineers, for our senior technicians, and even for the laborers, as well as even mama put that will emerge wherever construction work is going on. The only point made by Senator Dixon, with profound respect to him, because he's my brother, we are from the South, we were both governors together. He hosted us very lavishly a couple of times when Nigeria was a bit. I think that with due respect to him, he cannot support an expenditure and question the source of funding the expenditure. So you can't support the amendment to the supplementary for infrastructure and not endorse the sound of funding it. So I'm sure even after listening, he may wish to have a rethink. Experts are in this house. And even me, I refuse to be intimidated by people who call themselves experts. Because sometimes they just deploy their private values and substitute it for expert opinion. So I commend the president for this supplementary budget. I'm particularly appreciative that he recognizes that they shouldn't go into agreement with the...
Sorry, it's not supplementary, it's an amendment. It's an amendment to the existing budget, taking money from this head to the other one, and so on. So it's not supplementary, just to...
That's right.
To understand, yeah.
But critical to that, as the Senate leader reminded us, is that it includes providing for the personnel costs arising from minimum wage upward adjustment. Because that upward adjustment of the bottom will have implication for the top. So overall, the personnel expenditure that was in the budget originally can no longer stand in view of the pending minimum wage. And it is only right that the president understand that he can't go into agreement without the money being available, which is why the payment of the minimum wage is at the is the most important explanation for increases in personnel costs. So I urge my colleague that, like my distinguished brother there said, this is not about rubber stamping. It's about recognizing emergency. It's about taking into account our own calendar with regards to whatever, and doing what is right, and providing legal backing for an idea that nobody can fund. Sir, lastly, each time you use your ATM machine or you make a transfer, the bank deposits you. I'm not sure which law provides for that. So if the bank devises ways and means of taking from even the poorest of the poor, if the poorest farmer among God transfer money to another poor farmer, the bank takes 15 naira commission. So if they have divided these tools to enrich the banking system, these corporate citizens, in fact, it is consistent, Mr. President, with the progressive credentials of our party, the All Progressive Congress, to take from the rich and provide for the poor. That is what will lead to stability. To allow the rich to get away with excessive wealth on the ground that we have not provided laws to enable us take the excess profit to stabilize the system is to be short-sighted. So I commend the executive and I want to commend the leadership for facilitating that we deal with this matter expeditiously so that the president can get going and companies involved in infrastructural provision can have a renewed hope. And in the end, Nigeria can see that they lost one and they gained two. I am completely in support that this second reading be passed so that we can deal with this matter and conclude it whether this week or no later than next week. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, distinguished, for your eloquent intervention. We've said that the chairman appropriation will speak last, but let me yield the floor to Senator Abbas. After that, then you round up so that we can move on and get the process completed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Aminu Abbas, Adamawa Central. Mr. President, I want to just add a little on the Finance Act or Finance Bill. Mr. President, if you can remember, during the year end, Central Bank issued a policy that no bank pay dividend from the foreign exchange gain. And that money make up the shareholders fund. And if that money make up the shareholders fund, Mr. President, I see no reason why the fund will not be taxed. This bill come at the right time for banks to be taxed from the foreign exchange gain made by the banks, because they made a lot of money for their 2023. As such, I'm in support of the Finance Act and I'm in support of the tax on the foreign exchange gain. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chairman, Committee on Appropriation, you can round up.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Adeola Solomon Olamileko, representing Ogun West Senatorial District in the Senate of the Federal Republic. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, let me thank everybody that have contributed to this bill, and that all submission, both in favor and for those with reservation, are all well taken. But just to add that the bill is explicit enough, is amending the existing acts of the Parliament regarding the Appropriation Act that was passed by the Senate. And what the bill intends to do, not so much radical changes in the 2024 Act, but to bring into the Act all those critical infrastructure that needed to be attended to, which include all the coastal road, the railway lines, the CNG, irrigation, and agricultural implement, and so on and so forth, so as to take care of the food crisis and the food shortages in the country. All these are the components of the 3.2 trillion. That is why we refer to it as the Renewed Hope Infrastructural Fund, and other critical infrastructures are captured under this 3.2. And as for the remaining 3 trillion, which is the recurrent component, to take care of the recurrent expenditure of the government. What now constitute that now depends on what we might be the federal government, the executive might be looking at. But the total of 6.2 trillion is to amend the 2024 budget, which was passed. And in terms of funding, yes, new revenues are coming. And I want to thank and also commend the executive for taking this bold initiative in ensuring the availability of this fund before this proposal is being put forward before the Parliament. And for those who have reservation on the taxing of the banks, as you can see in the narration of the bill, it's a one-off on the windfall, which is as a result of the forex gains made by this bank. And my brother has said, as a result of the rate unification, as a result of exchange rate gain differences, which already is there, but the government has to come through legitimate means for us to have access to the fund. And that is what this bill tends to address. So by and large, Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, I want to say that it's in order, and I can see from the contribution of my colleagues that they are in full support of the bill. And I also want to join them in saying that we should give this bill an expeditious second reading so that we can get to work. I so summon, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my distinguished colleagues, for your contributions to this debate on the second reading of these two bills. And I want to also thank the executive for his foresight and his wisdom to identify the particular revenue we've been talking about and get it harvested so as to boost our revenue accruals. This is wonderful. It shows that the executive is up and doing in terms of making sure that we get every revenue that should accrue to the coffers of the government into the coffers of the government. This is wonderful, and this kind of vigilance, economic vigilance, is what is required of a leadership, and we commend the president for doing so. And not only that, also instead of bringing supplementary appropriation bill, but the executive decided to amend the existing act to get monies, one from one end to the other, to take care of legacy projects like the coastal roads, the Badagry Road, Sokoto Road, and so on and so forth, and other projects as outlined by the Senate Committee Chairman on Appropriations. This is a wonderful thing, and of course, to also take care of the minimum wage issue. This is really something to commend the president for doing the right thing. So those in favor that this bill be now read this a second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the 2024 Appropriation Act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the sum of 3,200 billion naira only for capital expenditure and the sum of 3 trillion naira only for recurrent expenditure for the year ending on the 31st day of December 2024. Second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Finance Act 2023 to impose and charge windfall tax on banks and to provide for the administration of the tax and matters related thereto 2024. Second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the 2024 Appropriation Act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation of the sum of 3,200 billion naira only is for capital expenditure, and the sum of 3 trillion naira only is for recurrent expenditure for the year ending on the 31st day of December 2024. SB 538, second reading taken. The second bill is a bill for an act to amend the Finance Act 2023 to impose and charge windfall tax on banks and to provide for the administration of the tax and matters related thereto, 2024. Second reading taken. The bill, well, before I make the referral, let me commend also, I forgot to commend Senator Abiru for his expert opinion that he gave on this, on doing the second reading. That said, the two bills The first one is referred to Committee on Appropriations, and of course, well, let me put them together. These two bills are referred to the Committee on Appropriations and Finance, and to report back within 1 week. But separately, one to Finance, one to Appropriations, separately. The Senate leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the second reading of the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act, Amendment Bill 2024, SB 477. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 11th June 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the assigned representative of distinguished Senator Barao Jibran to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Let me invite Senator Garba Musa Doki to take on the reading of second reading of this bill on my behalf. Senator Musa Doki, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, the Senate President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Garba Musa Doki, representing the good people of Kebbi South Senatorial District. I rise to lead the debate on behalf of the distinguished Senator Barao Jibrin, who is the leader of the Northwest Caucus of the Senate, of which I'm a member. Distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act, Cap A12 laws of the Federation of Nigeria as amended, to make provision for the establishment of the Federal College of Agriculture, Nabanje, Katsina State. The objectives of this college, among other things, shall be encouragement of advanced learning to persons irrespective of creed, tribe, or region, to develop academic professional programs leading to award of national diplomas and higher national diplomas in technical, maintenance, and development of productive skill in agriculture. Provision to promote sound basic science training as foundation for the development of agriculture, and bring in solutions to local problems in agriculture, and also provide extension service to farmers in this geographical region. As you are all aware, today we have food crisis, and if Nigeria is going to be self-sufficient in food production, then it behoves that we create this type of institutions so that local problem attached to farming and in the regional areas can be addressed, and research can be undertaken so that local solution can be obtained, and this will solve so many of the local problems. As you are aware, recently the problem of tomatoes and other vegetables that confront this Nigeria came because of certain problems that they are local to these vegetable farmers. And if this type of institutions are created, this will be researched upon, and solution will be driven, and extension service will be delivered to farmers so that there will be increased food production and there will be increased revenue to our local farmers. Even though I'm not of APC, the Renew Hope agenda of the president, for which more farm income will be generated so that farmers can benefit, I think this is in line with food security in this country. We appreciate our leader in the Senate for the Northwest Caucus for deeming it fit, not in Kano, but in Katsina. This shows that he is truly our leader in the Northwest, and we appreciate this gesture. I therefore urge all my distinguished colleagues in this Senate to please sponsor and approve, accept this motion so that this bill can be moved forward and the fruits of this Renew Hope agenda will be accomplished. Thank you very much, distinguished colleague.
Thank you, Senator Garomo Samidoki, for your eloquence in the presentation of the second reading of this bill. Though you are from the PDP, but you said the truth that all hands must be on deck to support Mr. President so that the New Hope agenda will be actualized, particularly as it relates to food security. Thank you very much for your eloquence in presentation of the second reading of this bill. I now yield the floor to Senator Adua, because this bill is very straightforward. Just give further insight and then we put to vote so that we can move forward in the process of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. My respected distinguished colleagues, I am Abdulaziz Musa Radua, representing Katsina Central. Mr. President, I want to first of all thank you for your vision and for your insight by presenting this bill for second reading. And also I want to thank you on behalf of the senators from Katsina State for establishing this Federal College of Agriculture in Katsina State. This Federal College will go a long way, as mentioned by my distinguished brother, in ensuring food security, because without research, there's no way that we can ensure food security, especially as we are going back mostly to organic food. So I want to second this bill for second reading and urge my colleagues to support this bill. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you. Let me again commend Senator Garomo Samidoki for his eloquence in the presentation of this bill, and also commend Senator Abdulaziz Musa Yar'Adua for his his eloquent comment on this bill. As I said, the bill is very straightforward. There's no need for further debate on the bill because it's something that is geared towards having the necessary manpower that will drive our agricultural sector. To this end, let me now put the question. Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act, Cap A 12, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Agriculture, Nabanje, Katsina State, and for related matters 2024. Second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act Cap A12, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Agriculture, Nabanji, Katsina State, and for related matters 2024, second reading taken. The bill is hereby referred to the Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions and to report back within 2 weeks. Thank you very much, everyone. The Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. Much as the Senate remains in the mood to continue, I want to emphasize that committee meetings are also slated for today. And in order to allow our distinguished colleagues to proceed to hold their committee meetings in view of invited stakeholders from different MDAs who are also waiting, I will move that we step down the other items on the order paper essentially to be slated for the next legislative day to enable us adjourn this sitting. I so move, Mr. President.
The Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion that the other items on the other paper be stepped down to enable distinguished senators to attend to other items, and we continue tomorrow. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. This Senate therefore stands adjourned to tomorrow, being 18th day of the month of July, that is Thursday, by 11 a.m. prompt. Okay.